Ahsoka, episode 4. First thing I'm going to say, last week's episode and this week's episode should have been one episode. This is my only complaint about this week's episode. See, people like to shit on Disney with Star Wars, but Disney also has some of the highest Star Wars moments, and I think this is some of the best Star Wars we've seen. I really do think it's some of the best
Full
Star Wars.
spoiler disclosure.
Yeah, we're going full spoilers. We are going full spoilers because we want to discuss this as much as we can. But yeah, wow. So for me, like, Star Wars at its best is, you haven't seen these, the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars is Star Wars at its best. Obviously, the original trilogy is Star Wars at its best. The Vader scene in Rogue One, Star Wars at its best. Stuff like that. I think this episode, Star Wars at its best. I really love this episode. I think this might be the best episode of Star Wars television we've actually ever got on Disney Plus. Above anything in Andor, above anything in Obi-Wan, above that Luke episode, above the Boba Fett episode, anything from The Mandalorian, obviously everything from Book of Boba Fett. I love this episode so much. But what are your thoughts on it?
I'm a little confused as to how much you love this, because I also really enjoyed this episode. I think it's one of the best ones. I wouldn't put it higher than previous things we've had, stuff like in Mando. It's just the reason for that being is you've got the final episode in season 2 of Mando.
Yeah.
I still think it's still better than this. I wouldn't say that.
I'd love that last episode of season 2 of Mando. And, I don't get me wrong, I love a good bit of nostalgia. But, obviously, no matter what we say, is that episode's always going to be bumped up 20 pegs just because of the Luke appearance. It was a great episode before Luke showed up. It was. I'll say that. But I remember.
But that's what I'm saying.
I remember us both sitting there, just looking at each other like, "Oh my god, did you just fucking do that?"
Yeah, but what I'm saying is obviously with Luke, let's just forget about Luke showing up because that's the point everyone talks about. I'm saying as an episode in general, with the whole, the action was great in it, the story was great in it, the whole raid.
Well, I want to
fight.
Talk about an episode which I think is better than the Luke episode, which is the Boba Fett episode, The Tragedy, which was episode 6 of season 2. I think that episode's better.
Fair enough. I think that one's better even without the Luke stuff. That's just me, but I still think that this Ahsoka episode is fantastic. It is great. It's up there with the Tragedy. I think for me the Tragedy is like the second for me.
So would you go Mando season 2 episode 8, Mando season 2 episode 6, and then what's your third?
This one.
I would go this episode 4 Ahsoka, The Tragedy, episode 8 of Mando, but they're all so close in quality wise.
The thing is though, like, I don't see how it can be that high for you. I really don't, because like it's very action packed, and I feel like that's what's getting you really like, oh, this episode was great about it.
Well,
it's like
that, and yeah, I admit it's definitely the action that's getting me there. But if pairing it with all the setup that were done last week and then just run straight into this was fantastic. But just more on this episode. What were your favourite bits?
The fight with Ahsoka.
Which one?
All of them.
All of them. Every
single. Yeah, no, I feel like this is a very action episode. I don't think it has much story elements to it until towards the end.
It should have been one episode with last week's. I think that's what we can all say here is we'd got a nice big chunky episode and it should have been one. But you can kind of see the pattern in the episodes I like, because my number 2 is The Tragedy, and that's another episode like this. Lands on that planet, straight into it.
My only issue Well, my second issue. It's not too big because I felt like it was done kind of well. Um, it's when Anakin shows up. Now, hear me out. I would have preferred this would have been perfect. I don't care that Anakin show. Well, I care. I'm saying if they did the two episodes together, then Anakin showing up at the end, I would have been absolutely fine with. The problem I have with it is it does that stereotypical Disney Plus show thing of hint at something, you've got to wait till next episode. It's
Now, I,
like,
I would have a problem with Anakin showing up right at the end if they didn't give us so much in the episode. If it was an episode filled with emptiness and not a right lot happening, and then it's like, oh, here's this thing, wait until next week. They've serviced us this week. They've give us enough, and then it's like, all right.
well,
Here's
that's
something to
that's
look
my
forward to
point.
next
Is
week.
it's last week's episode and this week's episode. If they mush them together, and they had that little bit of Anakin at the end, perfect. Literally perfect. If they put Anakin at the end of last week's episode
Oh yeah, that would
for
have
the
been.
episode that it was,
Yeah, that would have
that would
been.
have really annoyed me. But this is putting it at the end of this. I was kind of like, ah. If it was together, I don't care. It would have been perfect. Do you know what I mean? That's just how I see it. But I mean, I give it such high praise. You know, him showing up the way he did, and how they've done it, and what they've teased. You know, like I said, it still does that annoying thing of, you know, it's like gotta watch next week's episode to find
That's how.
answers and
I
stuff.
still
And
don't agree. This is how TV's always worked. Like week to week TV has always worked like this. And you're gonna go, well, Daredevil didn't do that. Daredevil was all dropped at once. Week to week TV, most of the time is what you get in this episode, and look at what's happening next week. That's just how it's been done, and that's how people write TV. Is it an annoying practice? Yeah, it is. But it's just how TV's been written for the longest time.
well, if they're gonna keep doing it, I'm gonna keep getting annoyed. But hey ho, that's TV. Maybe. Do you know what? We can all agree and disagree, and we can all say we like certain things about movies, TV shows, whatever. This is just one thing I don't like about TV shows in general. That's where it's like, it's like you hear, oh, Disney doing a show on Obi-Wan. It's like, oh, cool, but at the same time, the way Disney does it, I'm like, but that's just my opinion on it, to be honest.
Yeah. Another nice detail. Who was Marek or Marek or whatever the fuck he was? Nobody knows he turned to fucking dust. I believe he might have been a creation from Morgan. It's like a Night Sister spell. Something along them lines.
Did it use the Force though? I can't remember. I don't think it used the Force, did it?
Yeah, no, it did. It brought its lightsaber back. In episode 2.
I don't know. I'm starting to dislike this character because it's like, what the fuck was it?
Well, just a henchman. A nameless henchman, which Star Wars have done many times before. Well, no, a silent henchman.
I feel like we're gonna, in about 5 years' time, Callum. I feel like this guy's gonna have like his own lore, his own backstory. It's gonna be the whole Boba Fett thing. This is we're gonna have comics, shows.
Yeah. Another nice detail I wanted to point out is I said it to you when Balin and Ahsoka started fighting. Because they are both trained as Jedi. The patience was there for both of them. They didn't swing for ages, but when they did, it meant something. Usually watch. Like I love. I'm not gonna say I love the prequels. I've grown fonder on Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones is very. But
I like Attack on the Clones because it just feels like a very goofy Clone Wars episode.
But Revenge of the Sith is. Obviously, I watched it when I was younger and liked it when I was younger, so I'm always going to have that there. But I've got a lot more respect for Revenge of the Sith. It's only my biggest thing with the choreography for the lightsaber fights in the prequel trilogy is, they're just trying to, they're not trying to hit each other. They're trying to hit each other's lightsabers. In this, they were trying to hit each other. Like every shot looked like it counted. Every shot looked like it was going to be a kill shot. So
Here's the thing. I get what you're saying, but for me, when I watch the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan in Episode 3, I feel like it's just they're going at it because they're both at their element, so they're trying to like tire each other out. Darth Vader is now was a
but you
Jedi
can,
Knight.
I think you can see that as such a clean fight because Obi-Wan and Anakin know each other's next move so perfectly. I think
Yeah.
that's the. I don't want to say excuse. I'm going to say that's the lore reason behind that.
Yeah, the only way they can really get at each other is just tiring each other out, which
Yeah.
that's gonna do it for you. Do you know what I mean? Like 20 minutes straight swinging that heavy saber, because sabers aren't light, and they had to make it big, and it's
Yeah.
George Lucas. I see what you mean. I can see why you wouldn't like it that much, but
It's
I
not. I
still
didn't
think
like it. It's just like I watch it all day. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
more of like if you're really looking at it, then you can kind of tell. But I
No, see,
just
the more I look at it, the more it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Because, like I said, I think it's just them tiring each other out, if anything, for realistically going on it.
yeah. Quick one for you though. What did you think of I'll ask you. What did you think of Sabine right up until she handed over the navigation thing to Balin?
It's definitely interesting. I don't think she has a plan, like you said. I don't think she has a plan. I think it's just she's giving in, but not to like be a baddie or something. She's got no choice really.
Yeah, it's either she's got a plan, but the very likely thing is, oh, if I don't hand this over now, I'm gonna die, and I'll die for nothing because then he'll get it anyway.
Yeah, and she
So
didn't want to. She didn't want to destroy the orb because she risks losing her,
Ezra,
Ezra. Um, So there's that. I get it, but I like that scene. I thought it was great. It's probably the best bit of Sabine I've seen. Um, you know how I stand with Sabine in this show. I don't really like her. Um, just I can't. Just nothing's clicking for me with the character. Um, but this is new, and I like this. I really like this.
yeah,
So I was left happy.
I, I
Yeah.
really liked her fight with Shin. I thought her fight with Shin were great, and then she gets her down and she goes like that to like look like she's doing a force push or something, and Shin turns her head to prepare for getting pushed, and then she looks at her and says, "You have no power," and then she goes, "Boom!" Whistling bird straight onto the lightsaber. I thought that bit was ace.
Mhm.
So yeah, but no, overall now, especially with the Anakin stuff, that's because if they are in the world, I think it's the world between worlds. I can't remember what it was called, but the time travel thing um
Rules.
from Rebels, then maybe we're gonna get like a said it to you. Maybe we're gonna get like a greatest hits of the Clone Wars, and have like Anakin and Ahsoka walking through, and just looking at things, that they did in like the Clone Wars and stuff like that, but like recreated in live action. Which I
It
know
begs
you.
the question though, like, you know me, how I stand with Star Wars. It doesn't need time travel. You shouldn't have
No,
time
no, no.
travel.
I don't think
Um,
most franchises need time travel. I was, even when they added it to Avengers, I was like, But they've opened that door now, so they need to do what they can with it.
I feel like they could have left it. Maybe it could have been dotted around here and there. Um, I don't feel like they need to expand it. But obviously, they're doing multiversal stuff, so go for it. But I feel like they could have opened the door and left it. When you leave a door open and the window's open, and the door keeps
Push
opening and
door to.
closing.
Push door
Huh?
to. Would you push the door to?
Fuck off. They is.
Push door
Um,
to.
but no, but it's like when the wind's blowing at the door and it keeps opening and closing. It could have been like that. I would have been happy with that if they did that in the Avengers. I would have also been happy if they shut that door on it straight. Well, maybe
Yeah.
not as much, but yeah, with this, I don't know any of the time travel stuff that happens in Rebels. I don't want to know. I didn't really care for it, but now that they're going into in this, I have
Watch
faith. I
Rebels.
would.
Watch Rebels.
Yeah, I want to watch Rebels for it. I'm just curious. So is Anakin from this Anakin? Is he from the past? And
I
it's
don't
just
know.
like
I don't know.
I, yeah, because it seems like it would be. Maybe it's like Anakin's little secret or something. Maybe he encountered Ahsoka from the future,
Listen,
or
Anakin's little secret was called Padme.
well, yeah. But I mean, maybe this is something he just discovered or something or something. Maybe Ahsoka doesn't speak to him about what happens. Maybe
Who
she's
knows?
she.
Who
We
knows?
don't know. Could be a
Yeah.
some fucking illusion thing, but I think it's really him.
All I know is this episode was great. And funny enough, I've just seen like an advertisement that worldwide they are doing Ahsoka episode 5 in cinemas. Now, if they're doing one near me and Kyle, we will go out and see it in cinema for Ahsoka episode 5, and you might get an out of the theater reaction for Ahsoka episode 5. It's just I don't think our cinema's going to be showing it.
No.
No.
We
But
might do a out of the house. We'll just go outside the house
yeah,
and film one
yeah. quick review Ahsoka.
out of the home theater
Yeah. But yeah,
review.
so at the midpoint now of this show, I'm very happy with it. Now that we've got these 4 episodes together, I think these 4 episodes work really well together. You know, it could have
My
been.
fault. My fault. In as overall as the show goes on, Sabine has been the least interesting character, and
Yeah.
I don't want to say likable, but there's nothing to get me on board with the character. This though, I liked what they did, but it's still not got me into her character. It's like, oh, this is a really interesting thing they've done.
Yeah.
So just add a bit more meat and bones to meat
Uh,
into the bones to the
Last thing
character.
about Ahsoka before we move on. R.I.P. Ray Stevenson. Oh my god, the performance he delivers this episode. Obviously, we didn't get to talk about him last
Badass.
week because he wasn't in the episode. But well, he was just not a lot. But yeah, fantastic. I think we both said we need a Balin hot toy. Definitely need a Balin hot toy. And what's like the one word he says to Morgan this episode when they both stood there at the cliff, and it's like when he, it's like last time when he was like, "It's the truth," or just truthful, just honesty. Yeah, and I can't remember what he says exactly, but yeah, this character's great.
You know what though? He's so badass that like if we got a hot toy of him, I wouldn't even have the lightsaber out. I just have him with the cloak and just have him sort of like, as
Yeah,
he's just standing there because it's just that he brings a weirdly like,
such a presence.
yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
can I just add as well? Second time that so Ray Stevenson's played 2 characters in Star Wars, and they have both interacted with Sabine.
okay.
Yeah, he's Gar Saxon. He played a Mandalorian in Rebels, and that's who Sabine fought and won the Darksaber off.
Well, nice.
And now he's interacting with Sabine again. So just a nice
That's
little
pretty
detail.
cool. Yeah, no, I feel like we've not really had a presence of because I'm not saying he's exactly like how what Vader brings when he's on screen. He does have a presence of
There's
him,
no
but
rage. There's no
it's
rage.
different. Yeah, it's
There's no
different.
rage.
It's like a subtle like I'm gonna I'm not messing around here, and I'm
Yeah.
very well.
He
I've got.
it's
He's a smart.
it's
He's
well
smart.
represented in the fight when it's patience. He doesn't swing first.
Yep.
He was more of a Jedi than Ahsoka. Which Ahsoka says, "I am no Jedi." I don't think she said it in this, but she said it in the animated stuff many times. But
I am no Jedi. I'm
but yeah,
sorry. It's just how they do the
why
animation
do you
in
say it
Rebels.
like
It's just
Walt Junior?
because of how they move.
All right.
I am no Jedi. It's just I don't like the animation style in Rebels. It's very like it's like whenever you like fucking whenever like jump or something, they proper like
Yeah.
they're made out of jelly. It just no. I can deal with the thin lightsabers. I'm all for it. It's just the style. I hate how the animation just moves. It's Ugh.
Anyway, Ahsoka episode 4, definitely the best episode of Ahsoka so far. Definitely one of my favourite Star Wars TV episodes ever. And Ray Stevenson, you will be missed, but we've got him for another 4 episodes, hopefully. So, yeah.